get to the section that we're interested in, and we can open files up very similar to the document management side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually make a change to a file, and I'm going to record a defect, or the change against a particular defect. So I'm going to go into, very briefly, have a look at my trackers. I'm going to choose a bug number. Let's take bug number 1434. Here is my subversion area I created earlier, so via Tortoise I created this working copy. I'm going to navigate down into a location where I can find a file, and let's open the file up for edit. I've made a change. I'm going to exit from that. Happy with that. If you're familiar with Tortoise, that now goes into a change state. What I'm now going to do is perform my commit. And I said I was going to perform my commit against record number 1434. And to do that, I simply use a hash 1434. Happy with that? Of course, I could put additional log messaging in here if I need to. Once I'm happy, I'm going to make my change. So first of all, I'm going to do a successful one. So completed at revision 16, and then I'm going to show you that there is management behind the system, that if you don't provide, and this again is controllable, but if I don't provide something that's valid, it won't let me go ahead. So at revision 16, I managed to make a change. So let's go and have a look at tracker item 1434. Down the bottom here, we can see a number of tabs, which allows us to show relationships between maybe different trackers, attached artifacts. So there's our parent-child relationships. SCM, here we've made two commits. One I did at revision 15, one I did at revision 16 at 1441, and sure enough, if we look, 1441 on today, that's when that change was made. Okay, obviously in the background there's a whole load of administration. Time permitting, we might be able to go into some of that, but I can see that we've had some questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hand over to Martin. Martin's going to very briefly introduce himself, and he's going to very quickly run through the builds and a little bit to do with forums, and then we're going to finish off by me taking some of the questions that you've posed, asking Martin if he can provide hopefully a suitable answer. So let me just hand over to Martin, and hopefully Martin will come online vocally as well. So I'll control remotely to, where is Martin? Okay. Yeah, now we can hear you.
That's good. Okay, well hopefully I've got control now of Jerry's machine, soon see. Yes, that's good. Okay, CodeBeamer, it has the ability to run and manage Ant-based builds, and what we can see here on the builds tab is that there are two builds that have been set up. One is the standard project statistic build, which runs on a daily basis to update and refresh all the project statistics throughout the project, and this updates a number of the plugins that get used on the wikis. We have a demo build, a little Hello World Java program, and I'll just go in. If I just click onto the title, it will execute the build for us and report if it works or fails. So here we can see if Jerry's change has been productive or not. What CodeBeamer does is it looks through the SCM repository for any build XML files, and it will then give you the opportunity to define the build based on those files. We'll have a quick look at the build definition, how you can set it up, and some of the different ANT extensions that CodeBeamer gives you for how to integrate it in a cleaner way throughout the rest of the CodeBeamer implementation.
Don't forget, Martin, this will run a little bit slower because I've given you control and Martin is actually in a different location from where I'm presenting from. So it's a little bit more stress on WebEx than you'd normally see.
Yeah. Hopefully it won't take too much longer. CodeBeamer provides a build logs function, so any build that gets run will be displayed on the build logs. Here we go. Our build has started and it's processed successfully, and it gives us a breakdown of what it's done. Okay. So it's done a fair bit of processing. It's also processed all the source code metrics, which are part of the source code reporting that Jerry mentioned earlier. And we can see that that build is successful. I can now close that down. If we have a look at the build logs, we can select which build we're interested in. And that should now display with a history of every time the build has run and how successful or not it was. So I think at the bottom when we have a couple of failed. Oh, I think they show on a different page now. Sorry. But if the build had failed, instead of a green success box, we'd have had a red failure. I'll just move this over a bit. Okay, there we go. So the first few builds failed. It's then run regularly ever since and has been successful. You can make use of the inbuilt periodical process timer within CodeBeamer to schedule builds to run at any time of the day, either based on a set number of minutes after a commit to the repository, or just to run at a set time or every few hours. So you've got flexibility over when builds run, and just have a quick look at how they get set up. So you can give them each a unique name. Again, you can use wiki format to provide a rich description of the build, and also because it's wiki format, you can make use of the interwiki links and link back to tracker items, even source code commits, and any other wiki assets. You've got some choice over the amount of logging that ANT will do, and this is where you choose the build file. As I say, it looks through the repository for any build.xmls and will list them here for you to use. So we've only got the one in there apart from the standard statistical build. And what we can do with that is also choose any of the ANT task targets that are in the build. So if we have a clean target, a compile, we can choose within CodeBeamer how it runs, as opposed to having to build that into the script. So we get a bit of a flexibility about how our ANT build will actually be triggered and run. Scrolling down through, you can also add in specific ANT properties, sort of build scheduler, just fly past. Something we're going to look at in just a second is the actual build notification forums. You have a choice on success or on error to post a notification into a forum to supply a wider audience with information about the builds. You can choose from any of the forums that are set up, and you can set up a forum specifically for build errors,